You are still watching Breakfast Central on News Central. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms and get the latest. And talking about the latest, Africa's COVID-19 cases has seen a surge with the reported Delta variant spreading all across the region as South Africa eases restrictions today. Now, our correspondent Israel Eferobo is here to tell us more about the COVID-19 updates. So, Israel, good morning. What's up? What's going on?
Good morning, Israel. How was your weekend, and what's the latest update that you have for us, Israel?
Well, my weekend was great, but not so great in some parts of the continent, Alyssa and Oluchi, this morning, as we bring you some of the latest updates on the pandemic on the African continent. Well, South Africa has eased some COVID restrictions after President Cyril Ramaphosa said the country had largely passed the peak of its third wave of the pandemic. Now, a nighttime curfew and a mandatory face mask wearing remains in force. But Mr. Ramaphosa is lifting the weekday ban on alcohol sales and is allowing people to move between provinces. Ramaphosa said overall infections were down 20% from the previous week, though the figures are still rising in 3 provinces. Take a look.
You are receiving all these recommendations, decided that the country should be moved from adjusted alert level 4 and be placed on adjusted alert level 3. This will take effect later this evening once the regulations have been gazetted. This means it takes place with immediate effect. The average number of daily new infections over the last week was around 12,000 new infections a day, which represents a 20% drop from the previous week. In the last 2 weeks, the number of new infections in Gauteng, which has been the epicenter of the third wave, has steadily been declining. The hours of curfew will stay the same.
Well, there you go. South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa going ahead to drop the alert level from level 4 to 3. In Rwanda, the government has announced a 5-day extension of the current lockdown measures that prohibit unnecessary movements in the capital city Kigali and 8 districts to consolidate gains in reducing the number of COVID-19 cases and related deaths in the country. According to a statement from the Office of the Prime Minister, the measures, which started from July 17th, has been extended through July 27th. Now, the Director General of the Rwanda Biomedical Center, Sabin Nsanzimana, said the decision by the government to extend the current lockdown for 5 more days will give more time to analyze the situation and consolidate what has been achieved in curbing the COVID-19 spread in the country. Now, he also said that currently the majority of cases and deaths in Rwanda are related to the Delta variant that was first detected in India. He added that under the lockdown, the public are not permitted to leave home except for essential services. Well, in Tanzania, the health authorities there has gone ahead to announce measures aimed at reinforcing precaution against the COVID-19 pandemic amid surges in the third wave of the pandemic. Well, that'll be about the major stories that we have on the continent at this time. But before we quickly go, let's bring you the figures. Now, according to the Africa Center for Disease Control, the region has recorded over 6.4 million cases with over 164,000 deaths. Over 5.6 million people have recovered as over 57.9 million tests have been conducted. Olisa?
All right, thank you very much, Israel. So the good news is that at least alcohol restrictions has been reduced in South Africa. I'll say cheers to that.
Has been reduced or has been allowed?
Has been allowed
to come in.
They can drink and sell alcohol again.
Yeah. Now, Israel, before you go, I mean, looking at the vaccines and vaccination in Africa, what's the latest update in terms of Africa producing its own vaccines?
Aha.
Oh, that's a big one. And the continent is actually making progress in terms of manufacturing its own vaccines, well, of course, in collaboration with other world bodies. Well, Egypt has begun manufacturing vaccines developed by Sinovac BioNTech. And in Morocco, guess what? The country plans to produce vaccines by teaming with Sinovac. And then Algeria intends to manufacture Russia's Sputnik V vaccine, but they will start sometime in September of 2021. That's where we are at this time.
Right. Thank you, Israel. But it just makes me wonder, will Nigerians believe in a made-in-Niger vaccine?
Agbo. All right, thank you very much, Israel Eforobo, for the latest when it comes to the COVID-19 update. So up next on Breakfast Central, who said what?